If you're moving from a cloud-hosted Rocket.Chat workspace to a self-managed one, you'll need to transfer all your data, messages, channels, users, and files to your new instance. This tutorial walks you through the full migration process, step by step. Before you begin, let's go over some prerequisites. First, disable email two-factor authentication. If 2FA via email is enabled in your cloud workspace, it needs to be turned off before requesting the data export, else users may get locked out after the migration. To do this, open the administration panel, go to Workspace, then Settings. Select Accounts and go to the Two-Factor Authentication tab. Then toggle off the Enable Two-Factor Authentication via Email option. Secondly, contact Rocket.Chat support to request a data export of your cloud-hosted workspace. This export contains all your workspace's messages, users, channels, and associated metadata. If your export is delivered in multiple parts, consult the official Rocket.Chat documentation on extracting multi-part data exports to consolidate them into a single file. Thirdly, deploy your self-managed workspace. If you don't have a self-managed workspace running yet, follow the Docker deployment guide for Rocket.Chat to spin up a new instance. Lastly, prepare a storage bucket. A cloud storage bucket is required to store uploaded assets, such as user avatars and file attachments. In this tutorial, we are using Amazon S3. Create a new S3 bucket and keep the name handy. You'll need it to configure Rocket.Chat file storage during the migration. Consult the Amazon S3 official documentation for detailed instructions. Let's begin the migration procedure. After obtaining your exported data, the initial action is to make a copy of this compressed archive in your Rocket.Chat host server. Ensure the file is placed in a readily accessible directory on the host system. If the export was downloaded locally, upload it to your host server using a tool like SCP or any file transfer method of your choice. The next step is to unpack the export. This action will generate two primary directories, a database directory, which contains a single subfolder holding your MongoDB data. This subdirectory is typically identified by a unique alphanumeric string. A files directory containing all uploaded assets, including avatars and file uploads. Double-check that both directories are present before continuing. Now that you've unpacked your data, the next step involves transferring your MongoDB data to the self-managed Rocket.Chat workspace. The exported database is located within the database directory, specifically within its subfolder. Execute the Docker cp command to copy the subfolder from your database directory into your MongoDB container. This command will establish a data directory within the container containing the database subfolder. Next, use the docker exec command to access the MongoDB container shell. Once inside, navigate to the data directory and verify the successful transfer of the database subfolder, identified by its unique name. Proceed to drop the default Rocket.Chat database and then use the mongorstore command to import your exported data. This action integrates your previous cloud-hosted workspace data into the new Rocket.Chat instance. Once the restore completes, exit the container and restart the Rocket.Chat service. At this point, your self-managed workspace should contain all your previously cloud-hosted data. Let's proceed to address the transfer of uploaded files. Rocket.Chat stores files, such as user avatars and uploads, within the files directory of the MongoDB export. The next step is to upload these to your designated S3 bucket. Before uploading, the files need to be arranged in a specific structure so Rocket.Chat can locate them correctly. To do this, rename the files directory to match the exact name of the subfolder found in your database export. The new renamed folder will now contain avatar and uploads. Next, go to the AWS console and upload the renamed folder, which now contains the avatars and uploads, into your S3 bucket. If you don't have an existing policy governing your organization, create a new policy with the following JSON configuration. This policy grants the necessary permissions for Rocket.Chat to read, write, list, and delete objects within your S3 bucket. You can refer to the official documentation to get this JSON policy, and remember to use your own bucket name. Create a new IAM user in AWS and attach the policy you created earlier. If you already have an IAM user, simply attach the policy to that user. Then create an access key for the new user. Copy the generated access key and secret access key. These credentials will be used to connect Rocket.Chat to your S3 bucket during configuration. Now that your files are on S3, Rocket.Chat still needs to know where to find them. By default, your database still points to the old file paths and URLs from your previous cloud-hosted workspace. You have to update those paths inside MongoDB so that Rocket.Chat can load your avatars and uploaded files from the new S3 bucket, and they'll display correctly in your self-managed workspace. Start by accessing the MongoDB shell inside your container. Next, switch to the Rocket.Chat database. Now, you'll run a series of database commands to update the references for both uploads and avatars. Think of this as a powerful search and replace function that fixes every old file link at once. Let's start with the avatars. The first command updates the internal path Rocket.Chat uses to locate avatars. It finds every avatar file path that begins with the old database folder name and rewrites it to match the new structure we created in S3, pointing to the renamed folder/uploads. This ensures the database can find the physical file's location. The second command updates the public-facing URL. It finds every old avatar file URL that points to your cloud-hosted domain and replaces it with your new self-managed workspace URL. This is what allows files and avatars to display correctly in the workspace. Run the exact same logic for uploads, using a similar set of commands to update both their internal S3 paths and their public-facing URLs. This ensures every uploaded file is linked correctly. Once these commands are executed, exit the MongoDB shell and restart Rocket.Chat. All old file references in your database now correctly point to the new locations in your S3 bucket and your new workspace URL. Once migration is complete, go to your self-managed Rocket.Chat workspace in a browser. You'll notice data from your previous cloud-hosted workspace already reflecting. Log in using any of the user credentials from your previous workspace. You can now see all your channels, messages, and users. Everything should feel familiar. At this point, avatars and file uploads might still be broken or missing. That's expected. They'll start working properly once the final file storage configuration is completed in the next step. To finalize the migration, you need to configure your new workspace to use S3 for file storage and to set the correct site URL. First, navigate to Administration and select Workspace. Then, go to Settings and select General. Set the site URL here to your current self-managed workspace URL. This ensures all links generated by Rocket.Chat are correct. Next, navigate to Administration and select Workspace. Then, go to Settings and select File Upload. Confirm that Amazon S3 is already selected as the storage type. Scroll to the Amazon S3 tab and enter the configuration details for your bucket. This includes the bucket name, the access key and secret access key you generated earlier, and the region where your bucket is hosted. After saving the changes, the migration is complete and your workspace should now be fully functional. Return to the room and refresh your workspace. If you see a site URL warning, click Yes to update the site URL. You can now view all of your previously uploaded files, upload new ones, and confirm that user avatars are loading correctly. This concludes the tutorial on migrating from a cloud-hosted to a self-managed workspace. For more details, check out the description box below.